And so adding in play in between the training, you can go exponentially faster because you're using the pre-mac principle, which I also do jujitsu, right?
Okay.
And so jujitsu is a little bit challenging. You got to go. I do cold plunges too. All these things you're testing your brain in a way. It's this, I have to make a hard decision to have an easy life. But you can use things to help you to overcome it. Like after jujitsu, I'll go have a burrito or I'll have a burger or something that like I really enjoy. But I know I got to do the hard thing first before I can do the thing that I enjoy. And as I do the hard thing and I'm anticipating the good thing, I transfer that value back over to the hard thing.
Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by my man, Audley Stevenson, the Odd Man.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another edition of the Audacious Living Podcast, where our goal continues to be to inspire our listeners to live their best audacious lives ever. I'm totally thrilled to have you with us here and appreciate the fact that you've taken time out of your schedule to join us. Now, just as a dog trainer uses positive reinforcement and psychology to shape behaviors, we too can apply similar techniques to train ourselves to lead audacious lives. Speaking of dog training, today's episode features an insightful conversation from Brady Foulk, a renowned dog trainer and expert in the field of animal behavior. Brady is a dedicated dog trainer with a passion for empowering both dogs and their owners to achieve success. With a background in neuroscience and the science of training dogs, Brady brings a unique perspective. So if you ever wondered about the connection between the world of dog training and personal development, you've definitely barked up the right tree. Enjoy. Hey, Brady, how's it going, man? I appreciate you hanging out with me here on the Audacious Living Podcast. Thanks for making the time.
No, it's my pleasure, man. It's my pleasure. And before we begin, I know a lot of people are listening. They're like, who's Brady? I just want to tell people, if you're here because you have a dog, maybe you're looking to get a dog and you just want him to be a good dog, you're in the right place. So if you catch yourself nodding, you can smile.
Yeah.
But if you don't want just a good dog, you want your dream dog, you want to learn how to empower them to have more fun at home or at like public places like restaurants, beaches, wherever you're at.
Yeah.
You're also in the right place. So I'm excited to be here, man.
You're the man, Brady, when it comes to getting our dogs to act the way we want them to. The dream dog, as you said, it's awesome. And I guess for me, why it's because people go, wait a second, this is a podcast about dogs. Audley, when did you make the switch? And we haven't made the switch. We still encourage audacious, as we still encourage to live your best audacious life. But certainly there's some aspects, Brady, of your work, particularly around the neuroscience of training dogs that are so applicable and so relevant to our own everyday lives, and quite frankly, could be pillars for our own individual success. So maybe as a starting point, maybe I can get you to sort of talk a little bit about your work that you do and how you help individuals get their dream dogs.
Yeah, of course. And I want to congratulate your audience. I'm very excited to provide value for them, and them being here right now. I want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
Because like I mentioned, I'm a dog trainer. I empower dogs, puppies, and their owners to have more success, like I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
The fun part about dog training is I get to work with animals and the people, and I got to find ways to motivate and influence both of them. So before we begin, though, I want to kind of preface you guys with a couple things. Did you know the average dog can learn 165 words? That's Pomeranians, Chihuahuas, German Shepherds, Border Collies, Poodles, all of them, right? Big to small. I'm assuming if you have a dog, they can learn probably about 20 to 30 words quite easily, and maybe you just don't know it yet.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of fun in understanding how the psychology of working this thing, and maybe you guys have heard of Pavlov and conditioning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on that conditioning aspect, I'm an active learner. I don't know if your audience are active, passive learners, right? But it says something how you play out in other parts of your life. But they did a study. You can condition a new behavior in about 300 to 400 repetitions just by rote memory. If you just keep pulling your finger down, you keep doing it over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, they added some excitement, some emotional energy, some play to this conditioning. And they found that with adding movement, celebration, you can condition something in about 30 to 40 repetitions, and it lasts longer because you have more emotion attached to it, because you know what wires together, or what fires together wires together. So during this conversation, we're going to be moving a little bit, and I'm going to be engaging with y'all. You hear me?
Yeah. So I want to that piece around emotion and engaging with emotion. That's actually an interesting one. I am intrigued a bit about on that, if you don't mind. So yeah, you've piqued my curiosity.
Yeah, I had learned from a woman whose name is Susan Garrett. She's a lot of game-based training, and I am also a Tony Robbins person. So I don't know if anyone in your audience has been to a Tony event, but he gets you to walk on fire. He gets you to dance. You're you're doing all sorts of stuff. And adding this parts of your brain, there's different parts of your brain, right? And these parts are attached to storytelling a lot of the time. So if we're just telling a story and we don't attach any details to it, like the smell of a lemon maybe, or the smell of your mother's cooking, or I can see the house before me and it's red and they got a big green yard. So attaching different parts of the brain connects more emotion to the memory, which makes it easier to recall. So for dog training, is it making sense?
Does
for
make total
humans
sense
too.
As you're saying it, I'm going, I can see the red house or the white picket fence or the blue ball. Yeah.
So, and just attaching emotion to it, you're going to be able to recall it better. So when I'm training with dogs, we're going to be training them to stay by my side, for example, which can be a little bit boring. So I mix it up just by a little bit of recall work, or I send them to go get a toy and we'll play with the toy for a second. And so adding in play in between the training, you can go exponentially faster because you're using the pre-mac principle, which I also do jujitsu, right? And so jujitsu is a little bit challenging. You got to go. I do cold plunges too. All these things you're testing your brain in a way. It's this, I have to make a hard decision to have an easy life. But you can use things to help you to overcome it. Like after jujitsu, I'll go have a burrito, or I'll have a burger or something that I really enjoy. But I know I got to do the hard thing first before I can do the thing that I enjoy. And as I do the hard thing and I'm anticipating the good thing, I transfer that value back over to the hard thing.
Right. Oh. So attaching something enjoyable, and then you're not thinking about how hard it is. You're just thinking about the enjoyment and the play part.
You could still think about how hard it is. I had another podcast with a coach and a fitness coach, and we were talking about cold plunges, and just the fact to acknowledge that this thing sucks. I think there's power in that, and not lying to yourself. I think there's a lot of power. I don't like toxic positivity. I'm a very positive person, and yet my uncle passed away this last year, and we lost our guinea pig like a week ago. And I love all animals. I've trained a pig to paint. I've worked at Farm Animal Refuge. I've helped all sorts of animals do stuff. And yet at the end of the day, life is short. All things are changing and ending. So we have a choice. We don't have to do any of these things. We get to do it, I firmly believe. And I use a lot of transformational vocabulary and stuff when I describe events as well.
Yes. So I can very much
do anything like that too?
Yeah, no. Acknowledging that things are there, and I oftentimes use an analogy. Life's like a hills and valleys, right? So there'll be ups and things are great, and there'll be downs where they're not so good. But it's all part of the journey, the pathway that we're on. So I hear you loud and clear there.
Yeah, and most of the time, once you reach your end of your goal, you don't even want that thing. It's about who you become along the way, the people you've met, and experiences you felt.
Got you. Okay, so the attaching play to something is a good strategy. What else? What other kind of things do you incorporate into the training process of dogs?
Yeah, I stick to two principles mainly. Classical conditioning, so Pavlovian. So ring the bell, dog salivates, and then there's a consequence of them being happy they get to eat. So I'll condition a lot of things. Humans, dogs, we're conditioned to a lot of things anyways. Like if I say the difference between You fibbed a little bit, or you're not telling the truth, or
Mm-hmm.
you're a liar. We all have different triggers or associations to those words. And so we can go in, and dogs have associations to knocking, or to doorbells, or to people, or to
Right.
cats, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be, to food. So part of my job is to see these patterns and say, okay, A, B, C, that's like the foundation of it, antecedent, behavior, consequence,
Mm-hmm.
and take these things and then change them to something else. So I train an incompatible behavior. Like when you knock on the door, you go to your bed, which is incompatible with running to the front door.
Got you.
Same trigger though. And
Right.
then the other principle that I use is operant conditioning. So this is like B.F. Skinner, right? And this is kind of like grandma's rule. It's a sense that we do things for either pain, or to avoid pain, or to gain pleasure.
Okay.
Most everything in our life, we're either moving away from pain, or we're moving towards pleasure. And depending on what values you've got there determines kind of which direction you go in life. But for dogs, it's true too. So grandma's rule, the reason why I call it grandma's rule is because my grandma, right, I had to have my room clean before I could go play with my friends, right? I had to
Right.
eat my vegetables before I could
Right.
go
Yes.
have dessert. Same thing I was talking about, this jujitsu thing, right? It's also called the Premack principle. So using these two things and showing them that they got to do what I want first, and then they get what they want, creates a form of communication where I don't got to bribe them, and I don't got to intimidate them. All these choices are available to them. I go, how are you going to go play with your friends if your room is dirty? I just
Right.
ask great questions.
So this is no different than like a human brain operates. That say like again, the thing that you're the principles that you're using and strategies. Is there, or maybe I shouldn't. Is there a difference in the human brain and how it operates?
No, there's slight differences, obviously, but the brain works like the brain works, right? We have a bigger prefrontal cortex than
Mm-hmm.
dogs and cats do,
Mm-hmm.
but it's functioning in the same, operating the same principles.
Right. So the strategies and the things that you use to train animals can be applied to humans. It's just a bit more advanced, obviously.
For sure.
Got you. So Brady, I got to go back. How did you get in this pathway of becoming a dog trainer, animal trainer?
It's funny you say that, because I was thinking about this same thing, right? Because people always get to me, I'm like, dogs are like kids. And then I say that and people get a little offended. They're like, what are you trying to say? My kid's like a dog? I'm like, obviously not. I'm saying that. I'm just saying that the brain works similarly. And I'm the oldest of 6. So I got lots of siblings. I have lots of kids to experiment on.
Right.
And and so I've noticed as I go through life, they've all ended up on their own path, right? And as you look at their past, you can see that there are some things that stood out in their life, significant emotional events,
Yep.
kind of like what we were talking about, as well as just conditioned things. Like my brother likes football a lot more than I do. He got to
Right.
play more as a kid than I do. I played more baseball. I like baseball more. But these things, I was reading a book about a chess grandmaster, and his daughter's also a grandmaster. She's very good at chess. And they're like, how did you become so good at chess? Like, was your dad just like training you from a kid? And she's like, oh no, that's not how he started. Like, how did you get started? She's like, one day I was just bored at the house and I was wandering around going through cabinets and closets. And I went through a closet and there was this really pretty chessboard with all these really nice glass pieces in there. I thought it was really pretty. So I sat down and I started like looking at them and putting it down. And then sure enough, my dad came over and started explaining it to me.
Right.
And as you think about that, maybe that wasn't coincidence. Maybe the dad was strategic enough to plant something there that they would find strategically to encourage the development of that. Or maybe if you sit and you watch golf with your kid as a young age, or you watch baseball or football, whatever it may be, all these are influencing them in the long run. So
Right.
as being the oldest, right, and having to work with both people and dogs, I have to be able to communicate effectively. And it's freeing once you realize that the brain is really a simple thing.
Yes.
It's very, very simple. And if you just know like a handful of things, you can really take a lot of control over your life and understand. Like my girlfriend and I were doing The Body You Deserve with Tony Robbins. It's a weight loss program.
Okay.
A lot of it's just triggers. Like when you walk into a burger place and you smell the smells, you see the sights,
Yes.
you hear the sounds, you start to salivate.
Right.
So it's all very, very similar.
No, I get it, and it's again, and as you say that, and we sort of talked about that creating that emotion, right? So that emotion that's attached to it, and helping to, I say shape behavior. Really, is what we're talking about, right? Using emotion to help shape behavior, and these things can do that.
Yeah, it really does. How do you see the similarities between maybe some other guests you've had on and myself?
Well, no, well, I think exactly what we described. I mean, so first off, the you sort of touched on the power of storytelling, right? And I think so that's a big one for us as individuals, because we frame through our mind, everything's a story, right? Like our eyes are like the camera lens, are snapping photos and taking videos and that kind of stuff is recording, and so the more of the big blue cars or the red houses and those things that are retained, that helps help us with that storytelling, if you will. And so I think that's really, really powerful. But then as you sort of get into the emotional piece of the work that you do, and it's you're oh so right and so bang on, is the emotions that you attach to things is what resonates with you the best. And so it frames oh so nicely in the scope of dog training, for sure, because you attach emotion to it. So if getting the leash means we have to go outside and play, then I'm gonna go get the leash, right?
You nailed it. Yeah, it's exactly how I see it too.
The I guess I guess you're sort of talking about like rewards and consequences. I know that's sort of part of and I mean, it's part of the assumption, but I'm assuming sort of rewards and consequences is part of the process of dog training.
Yeah.
There needs to be a balance in that, though, isn't there? Like, so how do you make that determination? Is it per each pet or per animal, or how do you make the determination of the balance of rewards and consequences?
Yeah, that's a really good point. There's a lot of small details I pay attention to.
Mhm.
Like I hallucinate, you're a very visual guy. I'm a
Right.
very auditory guy. Like I hear things better than I see things. And some people are very feely, right? And dogs are
Yep.
the same way. Some dogs are more smelly, some dogs like to move a little bit more.
Yes.
Um, and so um, they all come to us for a different reason. So the system or the process I use is the story that I take them through is going to be quite similar, but there's going to be some aspects of it, like the theme's the same, but the aspects are going to change a little bit. So some dogs like to play with toys more, some dogs like to
Right.
have food more, some dogs like permission more. Um, and as you get to know the dog, you can learn. You always have to meet them where they're at. You have to meet anyone. You have to connect and appreciate their world, right? You have to kind of understand what drives them. Are you smiling because you know it's true?
Well, I'm smiling because that was actually sort of one of my line of thinking in terms of how much of your work depends on how well you know these animals, and how you know the
Yeah.
dogs, right? And so that's why I smiled, because that's exactly where you went with it, and that was yeah, that's where I was going to ask you about that.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, and I categorize them into 5 categories, like
Okay.
wood, fire, earth, metal, or water.
Okay.
And those match up with like Chinese elements, and they all have different things, and they align with the seasons too. So like wood is spring. There are a lot of dogs. They get in trouble for a lot of movement. They like to run a lot. Maybe you're chasing them. They're getting into stuff. They're always just moving.
Right.
Next is summer. You got fire dogs. They like to move, but they move for a different reason. I'm a fire child. I
Okay.
move for variety. I've done improv lessons. I've taken comedy classes. I like to put myself in different situations. I don't
Yep.
gotta move, but I want to be feeling something different.
Hmm.
You got earth. Earth is going to be fall, and earth is the grounded ones. They're the connectors. They like to build a lot of community. They're the mom types. They're making sure everyone's okay and taking care of people. I got some dogs that are like that. They don't want to hurt your feeling. They don't say no to you. So you have to be careful
Right.
how much you push them, because sometimes they'll be very uncomfortable and they won't tell you. And then you're
Right.
building something negative. And so you have to be ultra aware that this dog, he loves me or she loves me so much that they're willing to do these things, but I don't want to take advantage of that, you know?
Mm.
Next, you got metal dogs. This is also like fall, autumn type time.
Okay.
Metal dogs have a lot of rules. They and people, right? They're kind of the judges, the architects. They're the ones that pay attention to all the details and know exactly what's going on. It's a dog who's really obsessed with his ball. He knows where it's at all the time, right? He's
Right.
like, he has a lot of rules about what has to happen for him to be happy. And then finally, you got the water dog. These dogs are always funny. These dogs beat to their own drum. They're kind of hard to motivate. They're just like, oh, you go do you, man. I don't really want food. I don't want to play right now. Or sometimes I really want to play. I really want food. I just change when I want to change. And those ones are the deep thinkers, the introverted ones. They're the ones kind of like watching the whole world happen. They take a little bit second to like observe everything. Well, those wood and fire dogs, they're like in your face. They get into a lot more trouble. I see a lot more wood and fire dogs than I do water dogs, but both of them need a similar theme. We need more confidence and we need more repetition. We need a culture that we can follow so we can continue to build confidence.
Yes.
And then we need to take some of these bad patterns and interrupt them and create new patterns of what ringing the doorbell means, or what, when I say come, how fast you should come, and the emotions. I want you to be happy and excited to come when called. So does that help kind of understand how I see the world?
It does. And actually, as you're sort of describing those five, so I do, and again, I don't profess to be a dog expert because I'm not. I had a short interaction with a dog for a short period of time in my life, and that was about it. And something I appreciate from a distance. But what I certainly can do, one of the things I have appreciated and have come to learn a little bit is that certain breeds of dogs have their own sort of characteristics. But that's not to suggest that all dogs are the same. These have their own personality. Although is that a correct way of framing it?
Yeah, I think that's the most human way. Like, there's different types of humans in the world. There's different types of personalities in those humans. Like, everyone's different based on nature versus nurture.
Right. And so the nature versus nurture, that very much applies to dogs as well then too, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. So there's some genetic things like Australian Shepherds, they like to herd, so they'll nip you a little bit more, right? But not all Australian Shepherds do that.
Right. Gotcha.
And some of them do it in different ways. Some of them do it very aggressively. Some do it very kind and very gentle. And there's some that are in the middle. So it's all on a spectrum.
Right. So Brady, when did you first identify those parallels, between dog training and personal development? Because as the more you talk about it, the more it becomes it like I can see it, I can get it, it makes total sense. But I don't know if you said it to me initially, I would have saw it. I don't. So I'm put my hand up and say I don't know if I would have saw it right away. But as you're talking, I'm like, oh, there's some real cool parallels.
Yeah, for sure. And I started this whole thing by self-development. I'm a big Tim Ferriss guy, Tony Robbins, like I messaged. I went to my first CBW 2018. And I had already had my dog at that point. But there just became an urgency. I had dogs growing up. They were basically wild animals. And I was like, okay, all I got to do is just love them, buy them better food, let them sleep in my bed, take them on some more walks, and we're going to be good. I would wake up in the morning, take my dog on a 2-mile run. I get home from work, take him on another 2-mile run. Like, I was moving more than I ever had.
Right.
But I didn't realize all I did was I just conditioned him to run marathons. Like, he just became the same patterns of eating doors, ripping up carpets, having accidents, all these things, right? So really, I hit my rock bottom. It became a necessity, and and learning what I had from the self-development world, I went out and I found someone to go model, and her name's Susan Garrett, like I mentioned, and she started presenting this idea to me. And it's cool how, like the game of telephone, how things develop across different times, right? So I took these things and I saw a moment being the oldest six. I love people. I love communicating with people. I love appreciating, connecting, and going through all the steps. I was like, okay, I need to do that for myself. So I got leverage on myself. Like, obviously I was paying for it one way or the other. I had to fix all my carpet and stuff. So I was like, might as well pay for some dog training courses. And from there, the parallels just started presenting. I was like, oh, really? It's not that simple. If I want to condition myself to like jujitsu more, I got to set up things to like it more. If I want to do cold plunges more, I got to make sure I do things. Before I do my cold plunges, I do my incantations. Say all I need is within me now, and I have the courage to see it through. I have a whole bunch of them that I say that I have attached a ton of emotion to. So if I ever feel like procrastinating or not doing things, which obviously happens all the time because I'm human, then all I got to do is change either my physiology, change what I focus on, or change my language around the thing, and just kind of see that life is happening for me, not to me. And bada bing, bada boom.
There you go. Oh my gosh, that's awesome! I tell you, it's great. What's it take to be a dog trainer, Brady? I'm curious. Like, if I if someone or even listeners said, "Hey, I want to learn how to train dogs," what are sort of I guess some necessary things that you need to bring to the table as an individual?
Yeah, this is great because I do want to build like a whole family of dog trainers, because I feel like there's a couple ways you can change behavior, right? You could use punishment, and there's a couple dog trainers online that I don't agree with, and yet they have people, and people buy their stuff, right? And people are working very hard to cancel them, and that's like a big thing in our culture, is canceling them. I get it, I understand it, and yet that type of energy you're bringing to it isn't always it's helpful in its own way, right? But you're an eye for an eye makes the world blind, in a sense. And so the other option is you build something even louder than what's happening, and so you build that movement. So as I say this, what I want to do is create a family of dog trainers that have more elegant ways of influencing people. So using positive reinforcement, using psychology. And part of what that means as a person, you have to be curious. You have to be determined. You have to be a connector. You have to love people and dogs. Like, some people just love dogs. And I was like, well, that's great, but you can only do so much. You have to change. You have to have the humans see the positive sides of these too. You have to ask them, like, what do you gain when you train your dog? Like, where do you get to go? Like, how much peace of mind do you have when you leave the house? These are the things that you're really getting from it. So you got to be able to be connected with people. And then I believe in the psychology. I nerd out about it. I can like go way deeper into like the books and the stuff that I've read. And yet you only have to know classical conditioning and operant conditioning, the fact that everything typically happens in a sequence. Like, when you get home and you turn your car pulls up to the driveway, that sets off a whole chain of events. We have a lot of chain of events in our. If you hear McDonald's saying "bada bop bop bop," there's a whole chain of events that happens, right? Our marketers and advertisers are very good at conditioning us to do what they want us to do. And I think for myself now, because I've been able to realize that all these things happen in a pattern. And once you can change these patterns for yourself, that's very important. Because sometimes I don't want to train dogs. Sometimes, I want to do something else, but I got to do the thing. And then we do things for pain or pleasure. So making sure that you are aware of these principles.
Gotcha. Insightful stuff, Brady. I gotta tell you, like I said, the psychology behind it is something that I would not have gotten here by myself on my own, or figured it out. So I appreciate you sort of helping us through that, and also love the passion that you have for dog training. Like I said, again, I don't classify myself I wouldn't classify myself as a dog guy, but I certainly can appreciate the passion and the emotion and the intentionality about wanting to help individuals train as you put it, their dream dogs. And so thank you for that insight. Is there anything else that you'd want to leave with our listeners with respect to the work that you do, or maybe if they want to connect with you, you can let us know how they could do that?
Yeah, if you want to connect with me, you can check out my website, newdirectiondogtraining.com. On Instagram, it's ND Dog Training, and there'll be a link to it in the show notes and stuff, I'm assuming. So we can connect about dog training, dogs, whatever you want. I can nerd out about it all.
No, like I said, you certainly opened my eyes and allowed me to sort of see things a bit differently, and I'm certain that there's listeners also feeling the same way. So, Brady, thank you for this. This has been awesome. Congratulations on the great stuff, and keep it going, my man.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Through our conversation with Brady, we learned that by understanding the principles of psychology and conditioning, we can shape our behaviors, overcome challenges, and lead more fulfilling lives. Just as Brady empowers dogs to become their best selves, we too can empower ourselves to reach our full potential. For those who are looking to delve deeper into the world of dog training or explore the intersection of psychology and personal development, I certainly encourage you to connect with Brady directly. Certainly, you can check out the show notes for contact details to learn more about him. As we wrap up another insightful episode of the Audacious Living Podcast, I certainly want to thank all of you for being here. And actually, I was just thinking, having Brady on, and I know that, we like to have fun and joke around here. And I thought of a pun that I thought made sense. And I read it the other day and I wanted to share it. I thought it made sense for this episode too, since we're talking about dogs. And it goes like this. What do you get when you cross a dog with a calculator? A friend you can count on. Well, listen, you can count on us here on the Audacious Living Podcast, and I always thank you for spending the time joining us and delving into the world of audaciousness. Until next time, stay safe, be kind, show love to one another, and be audacious.
You've been listening to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by